with the shock upset at home over Uruguay. Dominated possession, but could not find the back of the net. And it's Peru that collect all 3 points. Not terrible news for Uruguay, as they're still third in the table. Again, the top 6 go to the World Cup. 7th goes into the Intercontinental playoff. But Peru, who had not won, pick up their first victory. Boy, a bad result, even if it doesn't hurt them too much in the table there, Ale, for Uruguay.
I think the bigger picture for Uruguay, much more so than the result itself, is sort of the controversy surrounding Marcelo Bielsa and the comments made by Luis Suarez. I don't think it had much of an impact in terms of the performance. The team, I thought, had energy, there was structure, there was organization. They just didn't have a whole lot going on in the final third. And they dominated most of the possession, but they didn't really create a whole lot. And I look at a team that, even on its best day, will have difficulties creating a lot of opportunities. And some of those opportunities are actually created by the fact that Valverde wins the ball in the defensive half, runs with the ball, is able to combine a little give and go action, and now he's taking a shot from distance. And that seemed to be really the key to success for Uruguay, but it's simply not enough. And it wasn't a great game. And it was a typical CONMEBOL qualifying game in which there was a lot of physicality, a lot of fouls, a lot of duels, a game that lacked quality in, I would argue, in both final thirds. There wasn't a whole lot of creativity from either team, a lot of tension. And I think after the 75th minute or so, whether Marcelo Bielsa Uruguay made this decision consciously or not, what we saw from Uruguay is, you know what, we'll take the point. It hasn't been easy, so we'll take the point. And it didn't quite work out, among other things, because Uruguay failed to do something that they're usually very good at, and that's defending set pieces and the second phase of a set piece. Big goal for Miguel Araujo, big goal for Peru, puts them in a path in which maybe they can think that somehow if they string together results that they're going to do something in the final part of qualifying. I'm not quite sure that they're good enough to do that. The result, I think, is what's disappointing for Uruguay. They would have taken the point. At the end, they did not give up a late goal in the 88th minute.
Steve, you think the frustrations that Liverpool fans feel about Darwin Núñez are the same that Uruguay fans feel about him?
I don't think so. I think in general, for Uruguay, he's been scoring goals, doing well. I mean, you could arguably say he did more in this game than anybody else. For the little amount of ball that he got, he looked the one player on Uruguay's side that maybe could have done something. So, no, I think you've got two different personalities, one with Liverpool and one with Uruguay. With Uruguay, he looks like a guy who's Uruguay's centre forward, who get me the ball.
Right.
I'm going to be the guy who makes the difference.
And he doesn't look like that for Liverpool.
Well, right now at Liverpool, he's struggling and he's coming on and he's looking like a guy who's trying to...
When he comes on.
When he comes on, sorry, yeah. He's trying too hard to try and impress and is getting things wrong. Two different players completely. I would say, by the way, after this, the worst thing that could have happened was them losing for Bielsa. Because if I'm the Uruguayan FA, if you have got... Listen, every manager, whether it's international club manager, there's always a couple of guys that don't get on with you, or don't like you, or have a problem. But when you've got a whole group...
A chorus.
And you're sitting in third, you're going to qualify. The next couple of games, if they end up being a little bit like this, I think you've got to question whether you want to go all the way through with Bielsa. Because you don't win anything when things are fractured. I don't care how good your players are individually. If there's a fracture between the staff, or the manager and the players, and the majority, you ain't getting anywhere. So, next couple of games for me are huge.
What's interesting on this front is we've heard from now former players, Luis Suarez, we've heard from the current players, we've heard from the Uruguayan FA head. Up until just the last few hours, we hadn't really heard from Bielsa. What did he have to say on kind of everything that's been said about him? These are his response to Luis Suarez's comments about what's happening on the inside of the Uruguayan team. Quote, "I am not aware of what happened, and I know that my authority is affected in some way, but I prepared for the match with the utmost seriousness, and the players' response was the same as when I started working here. It did not alter the conviction with which the match was prepared in any way."
Can I just say, Seb?
You absolutely can.
I watched this press conference and I watched this statement made by Marcelo Bielsa, and while you read it beautifully,
Thank you.
So much better than Dan would.
Yeah.
Reading, I think it's a challenge for Dan. Regardless,
He said it differently.
he was very measured and thoughtful in the way he addressed it. Took his time in coming up with that statement that you just read in 15 seconds. He took a good couple of minutes in putting the sentences together, thought about it long and hard, and delivered what I thought was a very measured response. But I have to imagine that deep inside, Marcelo Bielsa, I don't know if he's hurt by Luis Suarez saying these things, because I don't think he operates that way, and certainly in the way that we're hearing the Uruguay players refer to Bielsa, clearly feelings are not exactly put out in the forefront. But I do think that he was expecting more from Luis Suarez. And I sense that Marcelo Bielsa, now, let's, for clarity here and for context, his nickname, El Loco Bielsa, the crazy one. You don't get the crazy one by doing things the way that people have done things for years upon years upon years. There are many connotations to this. Some of it has to do with how meticulous he is about his preparation and the preparation of his teams, and how detail-oriented he is, to the point where players feel kind of constrained by this detail and this minutia that he pays attention to. And then some of that connotation has to do with his relationship with players. And I've had teammates that have played for Marcelo Bielsa, and they swear by Marcelo Bielsa to a certain degree. But they never speak about Marcelo Bielsa, at least these players that I'm talking about, they never spoke about Marcelo Bielsa as, he's my best friend. Or, man, he was great to play for because of the relationship. He was great to play for because he got the best out of you as a player. And I think Marcelo Bielsa still maintains that as his priority. To hear Luis Suarez say the things that he said outside of the realm of the national team, outside of the sanctity of the locker room of the national team, is the part in which I think Marcelo Bielsa would say, you know what, if you had a problem, say it here. Say it to me. Let's talk about it. Luis Suarez will say, I have, and he just doesn't take in the information. Regardless, I just don't think, Luis Suarez may think that he's helping, but in the immediate, how is he helping? Because now Fede Valverde has to answer questions. Everybody has to answer questions. Bielsa has to answer questions. The Federation has to answer questions, and they have to continue to play games. I don't think Luis Suarez, while his message may be one that needed to be communicated, I don't think that you do that outside of the realm and the sanctity of the locker room of the national team.
Stevie, you've been a manager. Once you've seemingly lost a group, can you get it back? No?
No, you don't.
Is that why you think the FA should move, even though they're third place, even though they look good in Copa America?
I'm actually thinking, do the FA move or does he move? Now, the fact that he's El Loco, I don't know whether he's thinking like a rational person, because you don't get that name, as Ali said,
Right.
unless you don't think rationally. But considering the standing he has in world football, if I'm him, I'm like, you know what? You can have your team. I don't need this. I want to do what I do. You know what I'm all about. You know what you're getting with me. So if you don't like it and you're going to go out with the dressing room, as you say, if I'm him, I'm just saying, cheerio, bye-bye. I don't need that. Bielsa doesn't need that. No. If I'm him, I'm doing it for them. See you later. All the best. You get on with it now.